And is that a viable model for the Web 2.0?
The model of what Web 2.0 is really about is that if you can learn more things about more people and create a virtual cycle so that as more people contribute, you learn more, that information can have different types of value, definitely for advertisers. So then the value comes in the data that you can get about people and the relationship that you can create with people as a trusted brand, as a service provider. So those are really the two crucial assets. The data and then the relationships.
我觉得最主要还是你所能够 deliver 出，通过 Web 2.0 deliver 出来的 value 够不够个人化，然后呢，是不是人家愿意付钱，是不是够隐秘，是不是别人无法做出来的，你能够 deliver 出来，而且是够个人化。如果这两个都满足的话 ，Why not charge？ 可是你要有一个心态的准备。You charge today, tomorrow you may need to make it free, because Web 2.0这个世界本来就是这个，你持续要不断的在这个所谓的 funnel 或 pipeline 里面，你持续不断的要找出这些新东西。
So how traditional publishers go about and enter into this social media? Is there any action plan or the first step of interaction? Perhaps a suggestion?
The key for publishers is to create relationships with consumers so they can add value to the content that you have. Is that if you don't have a way today to know who your readers are, for them to know each other, and for them to connect to each other around your content, you're missing the fundamental infrastructure you need for doing digital publishing. Right? So publishing is not just about getting the content out to people. It's about putting it in an ecosystem where people can say, I like it, where they can find other people that like it, where they can comment, review, share, and where ultimately they can produce value that you can then repackage back to your users. Transition your content not just from paper to bits, not just from analog to digital, but from a model of selling it to an audience and being done, to a model of continuous interaction and engagement with the people who are interested in your content and the people that are interested in them. And so that's really what social media makes possible.
Because there are so many registered publishers here in Taiwan, more than 80% of them with a capital of less than 2 million NT dollars. Those are small companies. So your action plan and approach seems appropriate for a large corporation. Does this mean a sophisticated CRM system, a dedicated team of people, skilled people to initiate this social media sort of launch path?
That's a great question. So I don't think, I mean, obviously if you had all that capability, it would be great. But because this is an ecosystem with many participants, you can work with companies like Yahoo to be able to create this ecosystem around your content. As we said, I mean, Wretch is a great example, which I've learned about while I've been here in Taiwan, is that there are systems that Yahoo has, and our competitors do too, but Yahoo, obviously, believe in, that can allow you to get your content into the hands of people. So you want to work with companies who are in the business of social media, who are in the business of connecting consumers, to help you market and connect to your readers. Right? So it's not cost effective for every publisher to create a website and to create a CRM system to begin creating that relationship. I mean, if you can, it's great. But what's even more powerful, what I meant about being open with your partners, is to be able to work with other companies that aggregate audiences, that understand audiences, that have the tools for people to connect to each other around your content, and to use these partnerships to create digital, not only digital distribution, but digital value in an ecosystem that's larger than just a single mom and pop. So really it's about partnering with companies like that to make that happen.
Should hardware go first or software-wise? I mean, we've seen the iPaper, the flexible newspaper thing. So if the hardware goes fully developed, the content providers, will they be able to keep up? Or should they integrate the whole thing throughout the development process and manufacturing thing?
其实当然简单的可以说，最好是同时进行，先让 iPaper 出现， 很多像Yahoo的、像 UDN 的，就会想办法，由他们自己来想办法，把他们内容放到 iPaper 上去。如果我是这个 Media Integrator Service Providing Company 的话，我会跟他们一起 work， 让他们的内容可以很顺利的、很简单的，每天的内容都在我的 iPaper 上面，他们一定会愿意跳下来跟你一起 work。但是 iPaper 要先 available， 就是 free。那当然这有 upfront cost， 这个 upfront cost，iPaper 10万张 iPaper， 你就算把 cost 压到某一个程度，你这个东西先出去怎么出去？那其实有很多其他的一些商业模式在后面可以考虑，或者甚至必须考虑。那这些我们暂时做保留，但是其实有很多模式，你像我后来有展现出来的，有一些是per usage base， 有一些是 subscription base。那有些 content 你让它是 media specific、device specific， 有些东西你就是在 iPaper 上才看得到。有些时候你自己要能够发展出 digital original content， 不一定完全依赖别人的 content。其实这些 combination 你都要去思考。
One comment just to that. Many mobile phone manufacturers around the world are trying to understand how to move from a hardware business to a services business. And we're seeing this increasingly. Because, and I think this may have been part of what you're saying, is that your point about giving iPaper away, right, is that becomes just the level of infrastructure on top of which the value is created in the services ecosystem. And we're seeing this around the world, that many different hardware makers are trying to understand how to be part of an integrated services infrastructure, where the hardware is just a mechanism for delivering services, and the value comes from the services layer.
What are the differences among traditional groupware or knowledge management system with web-based social media? Is there any correlation between them or drastically different?
Yeah, that's a great question. What groupware systems do, they are early examples of social media in the enterprise. And what's important to understand, I didn't make this as clear in my talk, is that crucial to having social media work are levels of permissioning about who can see what. So basically two trends. Groups, private groups who can connect together in authenticated networks, where you know you're part of the same school, you know you're part of the same corporation, or part of the same family, will be a key part of social media going forward. And then on the other hand, in corporations, we're seeing social media tools being used to increase knowledge in the organization. So people are using things like Twitter and then Facebook-like functionalities inside of companies to share knowledge, to share documents, to discover who knows what in a company. So it's both. What people have done in the enterprise is coming to consumers, and what people are now doing in the consumer space is benefiting the enterprise.
On the recuperation of the investment, you see mobile social media consumers who exchange or donated free content to the mobile services and to Yahoo as a service provider. Any benefits for them?
Yeah, so one of the reasons that people upload and share content on Yahoo is they get benefit from it. Right, so that's the key to how these systems are structured, is that my participation benefits me and it benefits the community. This is really where network effects come in. As more people come into the network gets smarter and richer and more valuable. And reputation systems are a big part of this. So you wonder, why do I take pictures, me personally? Yes, I do it for work, but I also do it for me. Because the photos I've taken already my friends have commented on. Right, when I was posting, the benefit, when I was posting saying, I'm giving my talk right now and I hope people like it, a friend of mine already commented and said, how are you posting during your talk? What's going on? Another person said, good luck on your talk. People have commented. So the social benefit of participation, both reputation and feedback from others, people get very immediate social benefits from it. There are also mechanisms on Yahoo for people to make money from the content that they create. We have Creative Commons licensing in Flickr, so you can choose actually to own the copyright and to sell it as well. The benefit to Yahoo in terms of our investment is really a long-term investment in the creation of the mobile internet and the infrastructures for making it happen. And as I mentioned, obviously, we're already using mobile as a form of advertising and a way to provide value to consumers and to publishers, developers, and advertisers in the ecosystem. And we see going forward, in the coming years, increasingly, as I said before, that mobile will be one of the key channels for marketing and advertising messages to consumers because of the relevance that it can create in making those messages meaningful to people and the ability of people to share those messages.
The information that we're receiving, most of them looks like noise. And how do we differentiate between volume and quality in the future world of everything's connected? And is there any way of solving the problem through the system, such as your social media system?
What if you get 10 cents, or let's say $1 NT for every time someone talks about that news? Every time someone talks about that news with somebody else, shares that news to somebody else, you get $1 NT every time that happens. But the news itself, it's free. Will you be a rich person or a company? I bet yes.
The beauty of where we're going is that even as we learn more and more, in other words, as there's more and more content, more and more communications, we're not in this situation of information overload. It's not a question of noise. Because, as I've said, as information, content is tied to where it was made, when it was made, who made it, who did they share it with, who commented on it, who rated it, who blogged about it. That information about where, when, who, and what means that out of all the possible things I can pay attention to in the world, if I were Taiwanese, the thousands and thousands of publishers that I could pay attention to and articles and news channels, what's the most effective means of knowing what is worth my attention? All of you. The people that I trust. That's how we learn what to pay attention to. And what Yahoo is making possible through Yahoo Mobile and through the rest of Yahoo, what we've done already in Flickr, as I've showed you, out of 3 billion photos, our users tell us what are the most interesting photographs by commenting, tagging, sharing, favoriting, clicking. Yahoo Buzz, which we have, I don't think is here yet in Taiwan, I'm not sure, but Buzz is where people buzz up an article and say, hey, this is interesting. And we see the most buzzed articles are usually the ones people want to pay attention to. And you can imagine future versions that the people that know a lot about, let's say, technologies for displays, if they're reading certain articles, I want to read the articles they're reading. Or if there are people that really know a lot about cuisine or fashion or photography or gadgets or autos, what people you trust pay attention to is the best metric, what you pay attention to and you want to. And so the answer is that you're not alone, right? The model of publishing is not, you're not alone. Because what you read and what you watch and what you consume is very much determined by what your friends do. People you know and people you who you may not know but you trust their opinion. See, what I try to explain is that social psychologists have taught us that when we're infants, we learn 2 basic forms of attention. Contact attention, creating the relationship with another person. And then the other form is joint attention, noticing what someone notices. And we do this as babies. It's how we learn to navigate the world, to live our lives. And what's possible now in social media and mobile media, what's possible in the future of digital content, is how we pay attention to others and what they pay attention to helps us know to distinguish what's noise from what's signal, what may not matter to what is really worth paying attention to. And that's what the internet will bring us, the ability to learn from each other what is worth a very valuable time and money.
Yahoo developed an API for publishers to integrate into this whole social media ecosystem.
Oh, we already have. Yeah. So if you haven't seen SearchMonkey, it's a fantastic way to get your content into the search index in a way that's very useful for you. So SearchMonkey is a great example of doing this. And there's a variety of other APIs. If you go to developer.yahoo.com, there's a number of APIs for doing this. But I think SearchMonkey is one of the really great ways to do it, because it converts, if you will, from a static link or a document to feeds of information. The other is in my Yahoo, right? So when I was showing you my homepage, those are publishers that have integrated with us.
What's the future for the brick and mortar bookstores? Brick and mortar, real bookstores.
Bookstores.
Okay, Mark and I might have a different opinion on this one. 也许我比较感性吧，也许我比较念旧吧，但是我个人的观察，我觉得传统的书店、书局、图书馆，10年后、20年后、50年后，还是会在我们生活里面。因为在我们人们的生活里一些内在深处的一个价值，这些东西还是在。但是呢，其实大家想一想如果你现在家里有小孩，或者不久的将来家里有小孩，小孩子刚开始了解、知道怎么跟你沟通的时候，那还不会读书，还不会讲话，但是你可以开始跟他互动的时候，你开始跟他讲故事，然后看到他有一点好像了解，但是他自己还不会上，更不用说上网，他也不会去买书。你那时候是希望是一个荧幕在他面前，然后展现，然后你来跟他讲故事，还是你让他坐在你腿上，你让他尝试的翻这本书的一页一页，然后你来讲，他可能听得懂，他可能听不懂，所以他坐在你腿上，一起看着翻着这本书的这个经验，你希望这50年后这个经验还存在吗？我觉得应该大部分的人都会举手说是，希望这个存在。这是人性，我觉得这个还是会存在。但是不可否认的，它在一般人的生活里面的重要性，的确会有降低。今天我们认为我们的 business 不是只是要卖摸到那个纸做的书，我们今天是要去满足人文、个人化的一个需求。那其实我们会乐见看到数位加平面大于过去20年前只有平面没有数位的状况，因为表示人文在提升，人对这个需求是有得到更多的满足，这个对我们人类、对社会其实是好的。
This is a great question, and in many ways I think it's a good synthesis of our two talks. Because you really have to ask, what does a bookstore do? Right? What is the function of a bookstore? So, and if you think of e-paper, iPaper, imagine 10 years from now, that if I had a borrow a sheet of paper from you, just borrow that. Okay. So, imagine each one of you has something like this that you carry in your pocket. It has access to every book ever written, right? And every book that's coming out right now. And of course, real-time video feeds from all over the planet and every blog and all the information in the world I can access. And I can stretch it if I want to different aspect ratios. I can shrink it up. You know, my children as children will live in that world, and even my children will live in that world, and probably we will too. That world's about 10 years away. So in that world where you have access to every piece of media ever made digitally on something that you carry with you that weighs this much, why would you go to a bookstore? Well, bookstores have really two functions if you think about it. One is they're very good for getting something that's not available anywhere else right now. Now that will go away, right? So I use Amazon all the time. I buy everything through Amazon. I'm an Amazon Prime member. I give them $89 a year just so I can get things 2-day overnight air without paying for it. But I do occasionally go to a bookstore because I need something right now. That need, though, will also go away, right? The need to go to a bookstore to get something because only they have it. So in a world of digital publishing and content, if we're talking about the future, bookstores will not have that need because they'll be able to get anything, anytime, anywhere. But bookstores do something else. It's not just a place where you sell books, it's a place where people go together. And so bookstores increasingly have coffee bars. They have ways for people to talk to each other. And what they really are is a place for people who love books to be with other people who love books. And I think that's, and for authors to come and to speak and to connect to readers face to face. And that's valuable, right? That value of being with other readers who share your passions, meeting the authors and talking with them. You're seeing the same disintermediation in the music industry today. How are artists making money? By performances. That's how they're really starting to make money. Because it's that relationship to people in real time, face to face, that is the thing that you can't really digitize. So thinking of our friends in publishing, your authors are your talent, right? And you're going to book them in venues. And that's ways of thinking what bookstores actually become. Because the physical instantiations of content, the books themselves, really over time, the value of those will decrease. The value is the attention of human beings to that content, to each other, and to the advertisers that want to reach them. And that's really where I see the content business.